This is the Truth Network.
I'm Lou Costello, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Danny Trogdon, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Robert Young, and I've got a secret
place. I'm Robby Dilmore, and I've got a secret place.
I've got a...
Christian Car Guy Radio Show.
I say this calls for action, and now.
I'm running to the secret place where you are. I'll sing to you of all the ways you stole my heart. There is a moment that I spell with you and a million other days away. I'm running to the secret place.
Today on the Christian Car Guy Show, we're going to play I've Got a Secret Place. Yeah, get ready to call in. It's going to be a blast. I've Got a Secret Place. That's what we're going to play, just like you might remember I've Got a Secret back in the 50s and the 60s. But in light of the current pestilence / corona, the 91st Psalm is just like, wow. I mean, it's more than comforting, especially for me, which I'll get to why that is in a minute, but also with a little help from Ruth chapter 3, verse 9, Psalms 27:5, and Colossians 3:30. I think you're going to see in a minute that, oh my goodness, God gave us this specifically for such a time as this. And in so many different ways, it just blows my mind. It really does. So again, we're going to play, so get ready to call in with I've Got a Secret Place. The idea of that being that where is the place that you go to meet with God? That secret place where you can get close and you feel and you can feel like you can trust him and those kind of things that David was talking about in the 91st Psalm. So many years ago, I have another show called Kingdom Pursuits where we talk about how does God take your passion and use it to build the kingdom. And I had the Billy Graham Association called me and they said, Robby, we've got this pastor fresh out of North Vietnam, and we'd really like you to interview him on Kingdom Pursuits. I was like, well, when Billy Graham calls, you don't. I'm like, that's good. Yeah, well, I don't know why me, but I'll take that deal. And so when they came in that morning, there was actually 3 of them that were there to help translate for the pastor. Now, unfortunately, in my early experiences, we got ready for the show, I could tell that of the 3, and including the pastor, none of them really spoke English all that well. And so it was a very, very awkward show. But if you can picture this scene, you got 3 translators, you got the pastor, and so my first question was to him, you know, obviously Billy Graham believes you've got a message that you want to share with the American audience. And so what is it that you want to share? So after I say that, the translators, and I don't mean to sound prejudiced or anything, it's just like kind of what it sounded like. It was like, and he says something back, and they say, prison. I mean, that's all they say. So your message is prison. You know, and all this, you know, very, very awkward. And then I'm like, well, being the person I am, I was like, well, North Vietnam, prison. I'm thinking, is this anything like Rocky 3, where you like down in the swamp with the leeches and stuff like that? If you've ever seen Rocky 3, and they were like, well, you know, and all this stuff, and they come back and they say, yes, I was in a swamp. I was in a swamp with 1,000 other people. Well, how long were you in this swamp? You know, you can hear all this. This is going on. I'm trying to figure out what in the world's going on. And he said he was in there for 5 years. I was like, well, what did you eat in the swamp? What did you drink from the swamp? How did you sleep standing up? How long were you there? 5 years. 5 years. And I said, well, my goodness, how did you live? And he said, oh, they were sometimes 20 or 30 would die every night from all the pestilence, right? Are you getting what I'm, right? You're understanding what I'm talking about? So I've been through some things, nothing like what this pastor had been through, but I know enough that when God allows that kind of suffering in your life, he gives you something like more than amazing as a gift. And so I kind of relate that to them. I said, what did God give you while you were in the swamp? You know, since he was going to get you through this somehow, how was he going to sustain you? And, you know, they're all, boy. And all of a sudden he comes back and he says, the 91st Psalm. And, of course, being the ignorant fool that I was at the time, I just was like, well, what's the 91st Psalm? So fortunately, we have a little computer right over here, and I just flipped up the 91st Psalm. Like, what does that have to do with being in a swamp? And how would, that be enough to sustain you for 5 years? Like, oh, my goodness. Well, let me read you the 91st Psalm now that we're talking about secret place, right? Here you go. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. Surely he will deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. I love that. This is the part that I can't help but think. Can you imagine standing in the swamp, people dying all around you? Listen to this verse. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror of the night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor the pestilence that walketh in the darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. So like, oh my goodness, Robby, the 91st Psalm went into my soul that day. I've never forgotten this man standing in this swamp all these years. So if you were me and you were doing this interview, I was like, so, how did you get out of the swamp? How did this, and he was like, oh, and all this stuff. And he goes, well, good behavior. And I was like, good behavior? And he did the whole lot of, and all of a sudden they come back and they say, he was leading people to Christ, and so they wanted to get him out of the swamp because he was leading all these other prisoners to Christ. And all of a sudden, the most beautiful thought hit me that I will never, ever forget. It just floated into my mind like Jesus just went, think about this, Robby. I don't guess I'm really all that surprised that God could sustain a man in a swamp like that for 5 years. But what blows me away, literally blows me away, is that all those other people in the swamp, a lot of those were probably rapists, murderers, thieves, whatever they were. God sent them a pastor to free them from their sin so that they could spend eternity in heaven. In other words, do you see the grace that's there? Like, oh my goodness, you sent these people this pastor. And he, of course, he had to have a secret place, like unbelievable, the secret place that he got to enjoy. So we want to know about yours. You can call us at 866-348-7884. You can begin to light up the lines, which I'm going to give you plenty of time. But I want you to think about for a minute as we go into this, that this week, I asked Jesus on Wednesday morning how he was praying for me, and he said, Robby, I'm praying that you would understand the cover that Ruth asked Boaz to cover her with. And so you look at Ruth chapter 9, he said, she laid down at his feet, as you may recall, and he woke up and he was like, what? And she said, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your skirt in some translations, but in other translations it says spread your wings, which actually in Hebrew, that is the word for wings. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. Well, in some ways you could think he was spreading his sheets. Like, oh my goodness. Like, this is a place of intimacy. This secret place is really it's actually used in Deuteronomy several times, almost like don't uncover your father's nakedness, like don't pull up his sheets, right? And so this place where Ruth was meeting with Boaz, right, is that secret place. And when you look at the 27th Psalm, verse 5, you know, it's the same kind of thing where David is going on, and for in time of trouble you shall hide me in your pavilion. In the secret of your tabernacle you shall hide me. It's the same concept of like, oh my goodness. So when you begin the 91st Psalm, you've got to first of all understand how intimate that place is. And so I'm dying to know about your place. I just know you've got one where you meet with him. And you feel that closeness where you can begin to trust him through anything. 866-348-7884 is the number to call in and share. 866-34-TRUTH. We're going to play I've Got a Secret Place when we come back. Don't miss it.
Well, if you ever plan to go to West,
I'm Lou Costello, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Danny Trogdon, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Robert Young, and I've got a secret
Place. I'm Robby Dilmore, and I've got a secret place.
I've got a
I'm running to the secret place.
Today on the Christian Car Guys show, we're playing I've Got a Secret Place. And I got to tell you, I'm actually shocked. I've got all these lines open, right? And we're ready to play, aren't we, Beth Ann? And
We are.
And I'm all by myself today in the studio, so I've got to get your help. You've got to call in with your secret place. Now, I know what you're thinking, Robby, if I call and I share, it won't be a secret anymore. Okay, well, I get that.
Never thought of that.
But 866-348-7884 is the number to call in and share your secret place. And I'll tell you why that might be. There are lots of people out there right now that have got all sorts of anxiety, all kinds of like, oh my goodness, you know,
True that.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And by sharing your story, you know, your place where you found peace, where you can find trust, where you feel like you're under the wing of Jesus. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It really is that in Colossians 3, actually it says, for you have died and your life is hidden. That means it's in the secret place with Christ in God. You have this place of intimacy that you get to share. And by sharing that with us today, just think of the people that all over the country that really would love to hear. And I know I've got a lot of listeners in Washington, the state of Washington, which has been hit worse than any place. And I've been so encouraged by callers, you know, the last couple of weeks who talk about that, you know, hey, I'm in this place where I can feel like I can trust God through the pestilence, which we obviously, in my whole lifetime, I've never seen anything quite like this. And so, you know, we can't help but turn to the Bible to go, well, David certainly experienced it, right? You might remember when he numbered the people, there were like, maybe 60,000. I didn't write down the number, but they had pestilence, believe me. And so if my Vietnamese pastor friend, if he could experience that with it being so close, you know, and David experienced what he could, we could experience it. So call us, 866-348-7884. So with the Jesus Labor of Love, obviously, we have that place where I often get to share with single moms, widows, and families in crisis, right, that have car issues. And so we've just had, it's been a busy, busy week for the Jesus Labor of Love. And actually, sometimes we run really, really low on money. And that was what kind of happened over the last couple of weeks. And so to share a story, just to show you that you're not the only one who sometimes struggles with prayer or getting in the secret place, right? We had this one applicant. And this applicant needed to buy some parts. And so we had texted back and forth that when you're at the parts store, you know, call me to make sure that, you know, we can get those parts paid for. So about lunchtime, I'm talking a fairly serious conversation with my wife. I go home for lunch. One of my joys in my life is to go spend time with my wife. And so we're talking, and my phone is like ringing, like 5 times it rings. You know, it doesn't stop. And I'm like, oh, somebody's just panicked. So I answer the phone, and it's this applicant. And she's like, well, I'm going to go over to the parts store in a little while, and, you know, and so be ready for a call, you know, in about 5 minutes or whatever. And for whatever reason, that got under my skin. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to let anybody treat me like this. So actually, right after that was my nap time, which is also sort of a sacred time for me. So I take my nap. When I wake up, man, this lady had burned my phone up like 30 times. But she didn't call like within 5 minutes or 10 minutes. She'd called like 2 hours later. And the more she called, the more aggravated I got. And we hadn't yet had the transaction. Well, God kept coming at me in that secret place going, Robby, you need to call this applicant. And I would go, nope. And I started to feel like Jonah, like, I get it completely, Jonah. I know why you felt the way, like, I've had it with this woman. I am not going to call her. And so God would come to me the next day at some point in time during the day, Robby, you need to call that applicant. Nope. And this went on really for 5 or 6 days, I'm ashamed to say. And she even called the station, left all kinds of messages, and God kept on saying, Robby, you need to call that applicant. And I was like, nope.
Nope. How old are you? 8?
I'm 64. You know
Right,
that.
yeah, I know anyway.
So one morning I had to go meet with Rockingham County and work on all this stuff on my father's estate because I'm the whatever executor. And I met with this lady for about 4 hours, and I had no concept of what I was doing. And this lady was so patient with me, and she showed me so much grace. And so it was like this lady was from heaven. And as I walked out, I actually told her, I said, you're way underpaid for Rockingham County. Like, this is just amazing. And as I'm walking out, I'm praising God, going, God, that lady has such grace. She's so wonderful to deal with. And I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and it was just awkward. And he said, yeah, Robby, like you should have for that applicant. So you guessed it. I eventually called her, in spite of the fact that we're running low on money, in spite of the fact that we have all these issues. And I called her and apologized and said, you know, I've really been slack to you, and God has been telling me to call you, and so, hey, we're going to help you. And she was very gracious to me. I will tell you, Beth Ann, she could have shamed, and I would have had it coming because I definitely didn't hold my...
Yep,
that was the deal. So, come on now. You got a secret place story? I'm shocked. Well, I guess... You know, you may think that you'll get corona just by calling in. This is a corona-free zone in here, I'm telling you. 866-348-7884 is the number to call in. We got all these lines open. We would love to hear your story. But along those lines, we got another car that really was donated to us, but it turns out that it needs a $450 fuel pump in order to help this other single mom. It's a single mom, doesn't have a job. She can't get a job until she gets a car so she can work. So if God puts it on your heart to donate to that, we would love for you to call in. We would love for you to call in on this, your secret place. I thought this was a natural. 866-348-7884. So much more Christian Car Guy Show coming up. Robby Dilmore here, and the Truth Network podcasts have helped make MyPillow the company it is today. And now Mike Lindell, who, by the way, I've met and is a great guy, the inventor and CEO of MyPillow, wants to give back to our listeners. For the first time, you can get deep discounts on all MyPillow products if you go to MyPillow.com right now and click on the new radio listener specials. Who never thought that my dream job would be selling MyPillows? Maybe you're getting tired of these sleeping jokes, but you can get deep discounts on MyPillow pillows, mattress toppers, bed sheets, and so much more. For example, the body pillow is regularly $89.99, but with a promo code GETTRUTH, it's only $29.99. Remember, all My Pillow products come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. Just go to MyPillow.com and click on the new radio listener specials and get deep discounts on all My Pillow products, including the body pillow for only $29.99. Enter promo code GETTRUTH or call 800-942-9613 for these great radio specials.
I'm Lou Costello, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Danny Trogdon, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Robert Young, and I've got a secret
Place. I'm Robby Dilmore, and I've got a secret place.
I've got a
I'm running to the secret place.
We are playing I've Got a Secret Place today on the Christian Car Guy Show, and I'm so excited. So very, very excited because we have not one, but two callers from the state of Washington, which is going to be so helpful. I'm so excited. We got Nancy is in Everest, Washington. Nancy, you're on the Christian Car Guy Show. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you for doing this show.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, well, you can start off by saying, I'm Nancy and I have a secret place.
All righty. I'm Nancy, and I have a secret place.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Not one that I sought, but one that God has given me.
Oh.
And I'm going to cry because I'm almost 70, and I just, feel like I have not served God well. Talking about that pastor from Vietnam, I am in awe of people, who can do that, who can just say, I'm all in.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I want that to be me, but it hasn't been me. But anyway, getting back to the secret place, God has just protected me my whole life. I just, not knowing Him until I was 35, and then just feeling His presence just constantly. And it's gotten more and more acute as I've gotten older, and I think that's just me being able to surrender more. But to recognize, I go through every day in a secret place. I am just in communion with God, and everything that happens, I can trust that He is keeping me in a secret place, in a place of protection, in a place of provision. And it's just such a marvelous way to live. And I just want to go around the neighborhood, with a bullhorn going, trust God, surrender to Him. Life is the best. Anyway, so that's my secret place.
I think a lot of us would chip in to get you a
existing with
bullhorn,
Him.
Nancy. I would love that. And let me just add that, interestingly, I came to Christ when I was 36. So I understand completely that, how that is. Like, how in the world did we ever do it? But how beautiful is it? But can you give us a sense of what it's like in Everest right now? Is there a lot of fear?
I think it's probably half and half. People are, some people are, emptying the shelves and pulling up in their houses. And other people are, just be sensible.
Yeah.
Let's just be sensible. I'm saddened that the churches are closed. They have typically been the place of refuge, and I believe that as we trust God, as we step out in faith, He's going to protect us. And I understand people are so concerned about being the one who has, kind of opened the floodgates and allowed the virus to spread seemingly, irresponsibly. But anyway.
Yeah, I struggle with that a little bit myself, Nancy. Our churches here, as it's spread in North Carolina, a lot this week, and my own church closed, not only for services, they're not even doing Bible fellowship and all those kind of things, and so you can't help but wonder about that scripture, don't forsake the gathering of yourselves together. And the reason I say that is that we hold the shield of faith, and part of the shield of faith is to protect your brother. So when you begin to drop your shield, it actually affects everyone around you. So by gathering together, we get closer to God and closer to each other, that we actually put a shield over us like the Romans would when they locked shields.
Yeah.
And so as we can come together, we can lock shields. And I find that in my men's group that we met this week, and I wish I could do that in my Sunday school class on Sunday, but we don't have it. It's hard.
I know, and especially as the president has, I just was so amazed and appreciative, has, called us to prayer tomorrow.
Isn't that
making
wonderful?
it the National Day of Prayer.
That's wonderful. It's
Let's
absolutely.
get together.
It is. Well, thank you,
Anyway.
Nancy. I better get to Dwayne. I am so grateful for your
So
courage
much.
to call us today. God bless. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
you
your
bet.
call.
Thank you so much, and you. Goodbye.
Bye. So, yes, we need your I've Got a Secret Place story. 866-348-7884. 866-348-7884. We'd love to hear your story. Dwayne, you're on the Christian Car Guy Show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am blessed. I'm so excited that you've called in. So, wow, you are in, like, Seattle itself. And tell us.
Yeah, I'm actually on a route, so I'm heading to Everett, just like the last hour. I'm all around the Houston Town area. So I wanted to call because this is actually my secret place.
Oh.
Because I'm alone. I'm on my company car, and I go to bless things and seek God's guidance. It's an intimate place, and it's a lot. It's kind of like a makeup. It's probably not good, but being rushed out of the house, and not having that morning intimacy with God. But if I don't, I still have my company car. There's long periods of lag, and I can be introspective. I can meditate on God's goodness, grace, and planning for the day, and all this stuff. Bring people up to be prayed for my president,
Wow. And you're listening
the
on
coronavirus.
Yeah. You're listening on KCIS up there in Seattle?
Yes, I am.
That's a great way to be with your secret I mean, I love that station. I love what you guys are doing up there. Wow, what are you sensing in Seattle, Dwayne?
Well, we live in Seattle, and it's really left. I try not to put too much emphasis on coronavirus because yes, it's a plague. It's like the cold.
Yeah.
But it's just new. It's just whatever it is. And there's been steps because it is new. And people,
Yeah, I do.
are trying to find ways to attack it. But at the same time, they're exacerbating it by speaking death over it. And I don't like that. I want to make it what it is, pray over it. Psalm 91 you were talking about. That's the same passage that I was praying over my mom. She had pneumonia.
Oh,
And I
really?
flew back down to Texas, where I originated from. And had a chance to meet with her. And, first of all, let's praise God. Favorite praise and worship song. And the only thing that came to my mind was Psalm 91. And, we're gonna agree with what God does. And, it's like 2 days later, she's up and around.
Really?
Her home care was Christ. Was just way ahead of,
Oh my goodness.
She's elderly. I mean, she's like in her 80s, and a lot of people don't make it. And so I pray God
I do
that,
too.
if I don't have my infant times, and I'm busy, it wouldn't sink home in my spirit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that, Dwayne. Well, we got to run, but thank you for your call. I'm so appreciative of your secret place.
I'm glad to do it.
God bless. Bye-bye. So, 866-348-7884. We got lots of lines open, and we are in the coronavirus. You won't get it from calling us unless it's on, something you've already touched. So, 866-348-7884. Wherever it is, we would love to hear from, South Carolina or Virginia or wherever you are. What do you guys experience? And 866-348-7884. I actually have another nugget that was given to me this week as I was praying about all this. I've saved it for the end because I have just been so excited about it, and I thought it was what I was going to share all week until today, and God changed my direction a little bit. So we're going to share that in a minute. Stay tuned. So much more coming up.
I'm Lou Costello, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Danny Trogdon, and I've got a secret place.
I'm Robert Young, and I've got a secret
place. I'm Robbie Dillmore, and I've got a secret place.
I've got a I'm running to the secret place.
Today on the Christian Car Guy Show, we're playing I've Got a Secret Place, and we just have one segment left for you to get in. We got all these lines open. We would love to hear about your secret place. 866-348-7884. 866-34-TRUTH. It's one of the most amazing things that I can think of in my life, that I get to go to that place and I get to meet with God. And as I told you right before the break, that he gives me just nuggets like, oh my goodness, and I just chew on them all the time, and I'm like, wow. So this week, this is a little complicated, so I'll try to explain it. That I like to look at the New Testament and then back it into Hebrew. Okay, and there's a way to do that, because when the Greeks actually, took over in the intertestamental period, they had the Jews do the Septuagint, which was a Greek rendition of the Old Testament. So we know how they translated these Jewish rabbis, how they translated these words into Greek. So by backing that away, I can look at things like the Lord's Prayer as perhaps Jesus actually said it in Hebrew. So if I do that, I can get some interpretation that I didn't have before that and look at words that in a new light. And if you're like me, and part of my joy in the secret place is to spend a lot of time in the Lord's Prayer, just really trying to get down inside that with Jesus and discuss that. So as I go through studying these words, I hit a word that just flipped me into like, oh my goodness, look at this. Here's the way. I just can't believe I'm so excited. So when you get down to where it says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, when I got into that word will, which, I've always thought that's great. I want his will to be done. But if you back that into Hebrew like they did in the Septuagint, that word in Hebrew is ratzon, which means delight. It means favorite. It's like, oh my goodness, how much fun is it now when I pray the Lord's Prayer? I can say will, he goes to that, but God, I want your delight to be done. Like, how cool is it that, and I know that God loves to delight. It's like the seventh anointing of the Holy Spirit in Isaiah 11. He delighted in the fear of the Lord. So God, that's like where you rest, man. That's like, oh man, this is cool. So when you pray the Lord's Prayer, if you'd like to think about it, you can say, thy kingdom come, thy delight be done. And I really like the idea of God delighting in what's going on down here. And I know one of the things that he delights in is our being in our secret place. And he also delights in your faith when you trust him, when that's where he really can connect with you. When you really believe what he's told you about you, that he's hidden your life. He's hidden you in God. 866-348-7884, 866-348-truth. So in case you get to thinking that Robby doesn't struggle with all sorts of stuff, let me just clue you in that I do, okay? And I have this neighbor. And my wife has, oh my goodness. Well, it's a little bit of a story, so I'll get you there, and then you're going to see. But the secret place came into effect last Sunday on this. So I'm in my secret place, and for whatever reason, right, I'm thinking about my neighbor, and I put him down to pray for him, and specifically the number 6 blessing. May God, keep you and shine his face upon you. I'm blessing my neighbor in spite of the fact that I'm not getting along with my neighbor. And as a matter of fact, when the neighbor saw my wife and daughter on Saturday, he turned and ran in the house like, that's the kind of relationship we have. Now, why did that happen? I bet you're asking, Beth Ann. Well, we inherited my father's house after he passed away, and he had this neighbor. He has this neighbor. And he built this fence. And when he built the fence, the neighbor said, "You crossed my property line." And so my father didn't think he crossed the property line. He got the survey that he had didn't say he crossed the property line. But rather than get into a discussion with his neighbor, he pays $1,500 to move his fence back to where it's supposed to be. So my father had his lawn mowed and then never noticed any difference, where this fence used to be. But as soon as I move into the house, I'm not going to mow where the fence used to be because clearly the neighbor wanted that property. And so next thing I know, the grass is growing up a foot and a half, 2 feet, 3 feet, And my wife is like, "You got to talk to this neighbor." And so, as you might imagine, one day I'm getting ready to go to work, and I go over and "Hey, how are you doing? What's up with the grass right here? Because, you had us move the fence, and now am I supposed to mow that, after my dad died?" It's kind of adding insult to injury. Well, this gentleman took great offense at my statement because he was like, "No, there's an angle to the thing, and that, where the property line was just part of the fence was over the property line, but where you're mowing is clearly your property," and blah, 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 blah. And after that, as you might imagine, he wouldn't even look at us. He put a for sign sale in his yard for a couple days right after this discussion. He put up trees, kind of between us and him. And I'm trying to figure out how to love my neighbor as myself. It's like, really? What do I do with this? I just don't know what to do with this. So I told you Sunday I put him on my list. Well, Sunday night, and now I forget totally, Beth Ann. I forget that I've put him on my list, forget that I've prayed for him, anything. Sunday night, when I walk out to cook my hamburgers, he's cooking out there. It smelled really good. And he says, "Robby," he says, "How are you this, I hope you have a great," and he goes, and I said, "Man, your steaks smell good." We had this great discussion. It was like old times, Beth Ann. I was like,
nice.
God answered my prayer. Oh my goodness. But I'd forgot I prayed it. And I was like, what brought this on? So I walk in the house and I said to my wife, "You're just not going to believe who talked to me out there." It's like old times, like we were old friends. And she said, "Well, he must have been drunk." And I prayed that same list. Here's the part that's scary. Okay, I prayed that same list on Monday. I prayed it on Tuesday. It was before Thursday that I went, wait a minute. I know why Eddie was nice to me. It was God answering my prayer from being in the secret place. There you go. We got Sarah Linda is in Port Orchard, Oregon. Sarah Linda, you're on the Christian Car Guy Show. Good morning.
Good morning, and I've got a poem I wrote as you were speaking, and I couldn't get the last line, and you gave it to me.
Okay.
So I'll say it to you. Okay.
Please.
My altar is the kitchen sink where I pour out my petitions. My tears are flowing down my face from my deeply felt condition. The salt I taste upon my tongue prepares the words that I will say, but it's the Holy Spirit's work that makes pure words I will pray. And in my sacred place of prayer before the face of God divine, he takes the word of my tear. He takes the water of my tears and turns it to delightful wine.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you for... I tried to get it done before the program ended. But I want to tell you, the Lord gave me a song for our Sunday school to wash your hands. You have to you need to wash it for a certain
Right. But you got to hurry because we only got a couple seconds.
And it's praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise all his praise all
Us
the
here
creatures
below, right? Yeah, there you go.
And here's the last two lines that are for the children. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Guide.
That's awesome, Sarah Linda. God bless you. Thank you for calling in. Oh, we are so grateful for all your calls today and for your listening. Remember, slow down. Jesus walked everywhere he went, got it all done in 33 years. And I'm thinking we can all head out to our secret place, to where we know we can be under the shadow of the Almighty.